Astrid had to move. So because the mural was going to be destroyed, I thought, let's just make a tiny little 20-minute poem about the mural. So I pulled in another producer, filmmaker, Williams Cole, who could not be here tonight because he's filming, he's out in Kent State. It's the anniversary of Kent State. There's a film being done on that. So that's unfortunate he can't be here. So I pulled him in. It turned out that, as I had known Barney, Williams had known Barney and Astrid because he'd grown up on the street that they had out in East Hampton. So it was really kind of old home week. And then we brought Rami in as a cast member, and I'll turn this over so Rami can talk about his background with Barney. But basically, at the beginning, I thought the film was going to be a workshop lot, basically for artists. You can see many of them in the film, talking about the wall. And gradually started coming down, telling their stories, ended up with 90 hours of film. So the editing was the nightmare, finding a story. And then I realized it wasn't holding together, and then it became more of a film about Barney because people didn't realize that he wasn't just a publisher. He was this magus who had basically turned America upside down with his literature. So yeah, that's the Barney, the wall made the film. The wall is basically the story of Barney, and our film is the story of the wall and Barney.
Well, that's interesting. Rami, I'm assuming that you didn't come to Barney through art and the wall, but you did see it from soup to nuts. Can you talk to us about how you first came across Barney Ross?
Oh yeah, sure. I love the final edit, by the way. It looks, it looks great. I haven't seen this mistake, so.
That was a last-minute decision. Last day of filming, we were being thrown out.
I've seen a lot of
Bolshevik.
versions of this film. So it looks great. I met Barney because I wrote a novel called Poughkeepsie, and he was going to publish it. He was beyond that at that point in his life. I believe he was about 87, 86 when I met him. So he was towards the end of his life. I started working for him for Evergreen Review, and he was obsessed with this wall. I mean, that's kind of what he did at the end of his life. There are times where Evergreen was just published by, me and Astrid, and Barney just, put his VR on it, and that's it. He hardly read the pieces towards the end. So this wall was his, his work of art, definitely at the very end of his life.
I'm fascinated. I've always been interested in the idea of a wall representing death, this inevitability that we come to, that we can't, we try to climb or get through, but we can't quite do it. Is that something that he ever talked about explicitly, the idea that this artwork was in some way an explicit confrontation with him toward the very end of his life, approaching mortality head on?
That's a really good question. Barney would never say what it was about. Nobody could understand it, why he was doing this. I think we came to feel that he fought everything. He fought the government. He was such an anti-authoritarian. I mean, he would just, whatever it was, he loved, as one of our cast members says, he loved to litigate. And I think my opinion is that knowing Barney, he had to be subsumed in something. He needed to be busy every single second. And he is you could see the pieces on the wall that were parts of his life, which led to them being used as portals by us into his life. But that letter opener with the clock on it, to me and the pool table with the little Day of the Dead dolls, was to me an indication that he was aware of the fact that time was running out for him. But in the meantime, the important thing is that he was doing this wall. Meanwhile, everybody was coming down. People were visiting him from all over the world, artists. He had a rat pack of friends. Boy, could they throw back the drinks. And they'd come down and they'd play pool. The pool table was in front of the wall, and Barney would just, they just brought me to say, Barney would just paint and paint and paint and paint. He could not finish his autobiography. He was blocked on it for 6 years. He had a huge advance for an Algonquin, and he was way over it. And so at the end, I think this was probably his way. He was not a writer. He was a brilliant editor, and he gave voices to everybody else. So he went back, inspired by Astrid's recount of Joan Mitchell, his first wife, who's now the highest paid woman artist. She's succeeded now Georgia O'Keeffe in the last year. She's massively famous. She was his first wife, he had 5. And as he said, they all left him, except for Astrid. She said that he got up one morning and said, Joan came to me in a dream and said, paint. So, one could say that he was painting out his life at the end.
And you, too, saw him from very different angles. Was there anything in the editorial side, you were saying that he's an editor, not a writer. Was there anything specifically in how he would edit in your experience, or how he worked with text that maybe you take with you now, or something that was really striking?
Yeah, there's this one moment, I'll never forget, this encapsulates what Barney Rosset was as an editor. I brought over this piece, someone had submitted something, and it was, just for his final approval, and he read the first 2 sentences, the first 3 sentences, and he knew where the person was from Australia, what part of Australia, and it was right on the spot. It was so freaky that he could get the voice, the pitch, the accent, everything within just a couple of lines. It was, that's the kind of editor that he was. I mean, he could, it was something that I think he was just probably born with. I think it was that you could, I don't know anyone else, I definitely couldn't do that, and I don't know anyone that can read a paragraph and basically like do a geolocation without a Google, without an app,
Yeah.
I was really taken by Daphne Mergen's comment where she said that it's crazy now to think that like D.H. Lawrence was banned at one time, right? And I think that's my experience with a lot of, coming across Barney Rosset and what happened at Grove is to just initially have that sense of almost like it was 8 generations ago, but it was actually, my parents' generation. And I was really taken by her quote that publishing itself is a timid industry, and that he is someone who had 0 timidity, and that he was just in defiance of that. Did you come across anything that didn't make it in the film that speaks specifically to him warring against timidity?
You mean in our movie hours? He thought he loved to battle. He wouldn't publish anything that anybody else would publish. He said, the one mistake he made, he said, you would admit to, was that he turned down Tolkien. He just found it boring, mystery story. But he said he would have liked to have published Hemingway, but somebody had gotten to him. But something like Malcolm X or Che Guevara, Barney actually went down to the Bolivian jungles himself and rescued pages of the diary. He had an amazing life.